Today we have something a bit different. Danny Vallant, host of Dirty Linen, spent some time in the Grampians, Victoria, in partnership with Visit Victoria. Danny went on a mission to celebrate and share the stories of the amazing people in food and wine in the region. So, strap yourself in and enjoy.
It is an experience. This is, you can sit there and enjoy the sunset or enjoy the kind of pace of the meal. Like, it's not rushed. It's just the whole experience.
Dirty Linen is on the road in the Grampians in Dunkeld under a steely grey sky with snippets of blue. I'm so excited to be here in the kitchen garden for the Royal Mail Hotel, and I'm here with Robin Wickens of Wickens. Hi, Robin.
Hi, how you going?
Welcome back to Dirty Linen.
Thanks.
I love getting on the road with this podcast. We had a great chat probably a couple of years ago on the show and, got all the backstory and heard about what you're doing. But to be here with you is a whole other thing. Just set the scene for us.
Yeah, we're in the end of our summer season, the kitchen garden. So we're in that sort of crossover of some autumn stuff coming through and summer stuff finishing. So we can have a bit of a walk around and I'll show you some of the interesting things and boring things we have grown.
How big is this garden?
So we're up to about 15 acres altogether. So this is about just over 2 acres where we are now, but it's all spread out. This is the main, what we call the main kitchen garden. And then we've got another plot over there, which is the market garden, which is all our bigger scale stuff where we grow, we'll grow like a year's supply of garlic in one go, and all the sweet corn for summer and zucchini flowers have just come out, things like that. So anything that's like requires less maintenance goes over there. And this is kind of our more rotational stuff. And then we have orchards and all other stuff spread out all over the place, really.
Incredible. Let's have a wander.
So you can see the very last of our tomatoes. So we've probably got a few more weeks of tomato harvesting to go. Which isn't a bad thing. We're probably a little bit sick of tomatoes at this stage.
Well, I thought I'd had my last tomatoes recently, and now I'm like, am I going to have a few more? I'm actually excited.
Tomatoes. And then so you can see here we're starting to sow some of the winter. I would just dodge the sprinklers. They do rotate.
Okay.
So the first of our sort of winter root vegetables. This is a really funky beetroot called a flaming badger. It's a great name for a beetroot.
Yeah, a flaming badger is something that I only want to eat if it's a beetroot.
And then sort of show you some other stuff, funky sort of pest control. So everything's organic in the garden, so we have to come up with some invented pest control. So the slugs and snails, when we're not eating the snails, we have a few pest control things.
Do you eat the snails?
We have a snail farm, yeah, so we cultivate the snails that we harvest and we feed them on black cabbage and spinach, and they get nice and fat, juicy snails, and then we purge them before they go on the menu. Generally sort of spring they'll be on the menu.
Oh, so that's amazing.
They're not on tonight.
So what, are you growing all the produce for the restaurant here?
Yeah, we're up to about, we sit around 80% for the entire year. So we still, there's things that we can't keep up the demand, obviously, like the potatoes we use for chips in Parker Street, and some stock vegetables. Throughout the year, Parker Street's menu will require supplementing.
So that's like the
more
casual dining.
More casual, a la carte restaurant, so they have to approach it slightly differently. But we have a few rules that neither of the restaurants can use anything we're not growing. So even in Parker Street, we have to be growing cauliflowers for them to be able to use cauliflowers.
Okay.
Even if we supplement them.
That's nice.
And then everything from the Wickens menu comes from here.
Right.
Stock vegetables if we don't have enough.
That's amazing.
So it does mean we change the menu a lot, which kind of helps with my low attention span.
What? Tomatillos.
Tomatillos.
I love seeing them grow with their papery skins.
Yeah, they're on. Did you know the papery skins? You need to use those for your tortillas. That's what have an enzyme in the skin which keeps the tortillas nice and soft.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Tackle Tuesday tips for you.
So hang on, how do you use them when you...
So you make a stock, like you steep them like a tea.
Yeah.
And that's the water that you make your tortillas with.
Wow, that's such good info. Not that I am growing tomatillos or making tortillas, but when I do...
We actually do every Tuesday.
I love it. That's so good.
All of our autumn brassicas, all the cauliflowers, cabbages that are all sort of slowly getting onto the menus now. Some nice sort of heirloom cauliflowers, the yellows and the purples. Romanescos all coming through nicely.
Like, how much of a chef do you feel like, and how much of a gardener?
I can't answer that question anymore. So we do the garden tours every morning for all the guests, and every time, even though I'm standing here in chef whites, I will be asked if I'm a chef or a gardener, and I don't know if I have a good answer for it. I don't garden, like, it's not like I'm out here digging the vegetables and sowing them, but we plan it all, and I have a better garden knowledge than I had when I started. My garden doesn't look like this, though. But I'm still a chef. I am more chef than gardener. But like, it's just an extension of how you work in the kitchen. Like, we've always been trying to find the best produce, always trying to find the stuff no one else has. Like, that's like the key. So now with the garden, it's just like the ultimate extension of that, and you can just, we'll grow stuff that that probably no one else potentially has in Australia.
Like what?
Like a Roscoff onion that took us a while to get in. So this is a really old French onion.
Okay.
A few other things that there are probably a few around, like things like a Gretti or monk's beard, which is a type of spinach that took us a long time to grow. We're experimenting with this strange sort of root vegetable called skirret, which is like a cross between a parsnip and a carrot. It's like a peppery parsnip.
Oh wow.
So things like that. Like, we can just we spend a lot of time researching seeds and trying to find any produce that we want to use that we wouldn't be able to buy. So we sort of divide the garden up into two parts: the things that we have to grow that we wouldn't be able to use otherwise, and then kind of like your basic stuff like your carrots and your beetroots. You can see here Brussels sprouts coming through down the end. So a lot of the more common stuff, and then a lot of less common stuff as well.
And do you find yourself using different parts of the vegetable than you would have if you were just ordering produce?
Yeah, I mean, different parts, and also throughout the whole season. So, for example, like when we were in spring and we're using all the broad beans and things, like we have to use just the way we plan the garden and stagger the crops. We'll have everything from the nice young broad beans right through to those big, horrible chalky ones that no one likes.
Yeah.
That if you were ordering, you would send back, but we use them. We like, that's when we start making things like misos and things like that with them. And
so cool.
we have a bit of a preservations team that use up all the excess, but we don't actually get a lot of wastage. We're pretty good at kind of choosing varieties that come through at different stages of the year, and a lot of succession planting. This is big bed of carrots you see here. This is a good result of the kind of summer fires and lack of customers. So we wouldn't normally have this much in the ground at one time, but obviously we'll just let them grow and use them as stock carrots, so it's not too much.
They look so abundant and healthy. It's just amazing. The soil must be incredible. There must be a lot of work that goes into it.
Yeah, a lot of compost, a lot of different soil like techniques we use for putting nutrients back into the soil. Some of them are on the menu. We use a crop, like a cover crop called green manure, which we like to use on the menu because it sounds funny and people think it's like mouldy chicken poo. It is not. It's like mustards. It's like mustards and different legumes and things like that. So we make like almost like a salsa verde out of it.
Okay, amazing.
Sometimes we use it as a salad and things like that. And you actually, whilst we're here, you actually get mentioned a bit on our garden tours because we were on a mission to bring back curly parsley. Yeah. And I heard that you were championing the curly parsley as well.
Definitely. I didn't know we were on this curly parsley train together, Robin.
So we do grow a little bit of Italian flat leaf parsley as well, mainly because we've got a couple of Italians working in the hotel and they get upset if we only grow curly parsley. We tend to grow this.
Why do you like it?
It's just a better parsley flavour.
Ooh, I'm with you.
But it is.
I'm with you.
You know, we're not chopping it to sprinkle around the plates.
Yeah.
which I think is what most people have been turned off by, but it's more parsley.
Yep.
Can be.
Yeah,
if you can
I
say
agree.
That. So that's our parsley.
Does dish creation happen from the garden, or is it sort of, does it go back and forth?
It goes back and forth. I think now it happens from the garden. So we plan the garden pretty much for an entire year. So we'll sit down with the end of summer, which is our biggest kind of production season, and we'll plan right the way through to the end of next summer. So we base it on, like, you know, if we had enough tomatoes, that's good. If we ran out early, we'll sow more. If we had too many, we'll sow less, and that kind of thing. But we're not, at that stage, we're not really thinking about the menu. It's really just based on what produce we want in different quantities, and then very last minute we'll come and start thinking about menus and what's running out and what's coming through. We don't, like, nothing has a use in mind. Like, we just make it up as we go along. Although pretty much everything has probably ended up in an ice cream at one point in time, I think.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Whatever happens, its fate is to be frozen.
I'll show you something, latest project that we've been working on, which is very cool, is our mushroom grove.
Oh, really?
So we spent the last couple of years working on all the mushrooms, pretty successfully. They'll just start coming through over the next few months. On these logs here, these are our shiitake mushrooms, which I think I've just started producing again.
Oh, yeah, I can see some. That's so cool.
Yeah. And do you know the secret to growing shiitakes? So these are some oak logs, and they've been drilled. They have these little plugs that have this shiitake spores on them. They go through a process where they get soaked in baths of water, and then every 3 or 4 months we have to hit the logs with a rubber mallet. And this resembles the trees falling in the forest, and they release their spores, and you get mushrooms.
That is, must be a very satisfying job.
We were pretty sure that our mushroom grower was tricking us.
Having a moment.
But then we did it, and we get so many mushrooms.
That's so cool.
That's,
so if you're just listening to this and not seeing it, we're looking at a frame, like a tall V, like a tent-shaped frame of logs, but a narrow tent shape, and they're just lined up under what? What is
these? Are hazelnut trees.
So is that important that they're?
It's a good, yeah. So
they're just nice and shady.
It's a really good environment for the mushrooms. So we did talk a lot
moist
about
and
moving them.
dappled.
Yeah, and it's got nice shade, and it gets really sort of damp. So these are the shiitakes on these logs along the ground here. In autumn, we'll start getting we grow maitakes along here.
Oh, really?
And some chestnut mushrooms. And then we have a glass house where we have a dark room where we grow oyster mushrooms and lion's manes. And on one of our farms, we have an oak plantation where we have our porcinis. So last year we got our first porcinis.
That's really cool.
That's very cool.
You got truffles on your mind?
There are truffles out there as well, but that's we're wait and see for that. We had to
long-term project.
Yeah, we did a lot of work on the pH of the soil. There
Okay.
was like tons of lime and things like that going down, and now we just have to wait. But it'll be pretty big. It's quite large, so if it does start producing, we'll have endless amounts of truffles
Plenty
to
of
give
truffles,
away.
yeah.
But
And you'll have to start breeding dogs and.
I have a pig.
Oh, no way! I thought pigs were
pig.
out of fashion because they chopped your fingers off.
My daughter has a little pet pig that she got for Christmas.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope all goes well.
And no fingers have been lost so far.
So is that going to be the truffle pig?
Possibly, yeah.
What's it called?
It's called Sunday roast.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck Sunday roast with
This is
all
what
of your
happens in the country. We
enterprises. Yeah. Love it. Do you ever get sick of how good this is? Do you take it for granted, or do you still get it?
I have no
really?
like if you were to move me back to the city and try and get me to run a restaurant, I wouldn't be able to do it. I don't think. Just
Why
like
not?
ordering. I didn't, because the way our style of food is, you just wouldn't be able to order as much of a produce we use, or it would seem like a crazy amount. So if we're doing like, I don't know, a basil puree or something, we can just use as much basil as we want. And also, being able to find the things, like I said, that are very hard to order or find. It would be pretty. I don't want to have to move back to the city. Put it that
Well,
way.
I don't think you do have to. People always talk about, oh yeah, look, it's great to have the produce, but if we costed it out, it would actually, we're not saving any money growing it ourselves. How does it stack up financially?
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time on that. It is pretty much exactly the same. We're still held to the same food cost as a normal restaurant. And the way we sort of approach it is we class a lot of our vegetables, and we have what we call a Class A vegetable, right, which is something that is relatively expensive to order, very easy to sell on the menu. So if you take something like a zucchini flower or white asparagus, so we approach that and we have created the market garden or big scale areas where we can grow all the white asparagus we need for the season, or all the zucchini flowers for both restaurants across all of summer, and then that's where it sort of gets really financially beneficial for us, because you can make a lot of it back during those short periods, and also when we get things like weddings and things like that, we can do all the large events from the garden as well. So it's there's certainly a tipping point. Whereas if you get bigger and bigger, you can get more profitable from it.
Yeah.
Than if it's just a few herb boxes and things like that. So,
yeah, for sure. Interesting.
yeah, that's sort of how we do it. We wouldn't try and grow all of our radishes. Oh, that's not true. Actually, we do grow all of our radishes. I don't know. Like there's things we can't. Like we're not going to grow all the chip potatoes. Things like that. It's not really worth.
That makes sense.
That much.
But stuff that you could mark up.
Yeah, strawberries, all the high profile produce.
Amazing. Well, I feel like you should take me to the kitchen now and show me some magic.
I can do.
Robin, we've come across the creek and we're in Wickens, your beautiful restaurant. Views of Mount Sturgeon from the window, really lovely native bushland outside. Tell us about this place.
Yes, we wanted, I guess the initial plan, or the original plan was to build, an amazing Australian restaurant that showed the landscape. Everything from the region is kind of used throughout the restaurant, and we talk about a sense of place. This is it. This is as close as we can get. So everything from the Grampian sandstone on the tables to there's touches of sheep wool and leather and all sorts of those kind of native fabrics, and then obviously the full window and the landscapes. It's pretty much as Australian. We try to corral the kangaroos and wallabies at a certain time each night, so they bounce past, and that's the dining experience.
And so people come here for a set menu.
Yeah,
What's
so we
the
have
structure of the dining experience?
We offer one menu, which sort of varies. It's normally around sort of 8 to 10 courses, depending on what we have to use. So we're not sort of it's not sort of tied to an amount of courses. We sort of chop and change it. There's a few additional things that you can add, or that we add throughout the meal as well. That's it. It has changed over the. At one stage we were offering 2 different menus, and we've just kind of like refined it a little bit down to what we're currently offering. It changes all the time. So a very, you talk about seasonal restaurants. Ours is quite different in that, if you come in summer when there's the tomatoes, you might have 4 or 5 tomato dishes throughout the menu, or touches of tomato in different dishes. So then the challenge for us is to make, it's not 5 tomato salads or 5 raw tomatoes. So we've got to come up with different ways to use the same produce. And you can come back in a different season, it will be completely different. But if you come in spring, there's going to be a lot of asparagus or a lot of peas and raw beans. So that's sort of how we create the menus. Yeah,
well, it's a really lovely, authentic, natural way to eat. Feels like it's the right way to eat. How do you want people to feel during a meal here?
Full, not too full, just the right amount of full. How do I want to feel? The fact that we are relatively far away from Melbourne, we approach it as though that it's not like you're in the city and you've got something else to do after your dinner. So it is an experience. This is you can sit there and enjoy the sunset, or enjoy the kind of pace of the meal. Like it's not rushed. It's just the whole experience. How they feel. I want constant 5-star reviews. That's the feeling I want. Whether I get that or not, I don't know.
I love it. Well, probably not giving out stars tonight, but I'm so excited to come back here and enjoy the sunset, the kangaroos hopping past on cue, and a beautiful seasonal tasting menu. Really, really excited. As you mentioned, Robin, people are coming often from Melbourne to experience what you're presenting to them. What's good about the region? The
Grampians itself is some amazing landscapes and hiking, and it for me, I think it's a very forgotten part of Victoria, and we want people to come and experience it. A lot of people always say they've never been, or they haven't been for a long time, and when they get here and spend some time here, they're like, wow, I didn't know the Grampians was like this, or I didn't know, or I'd forgotten it was like this. They're very people are used to going to Mornington or Great Ocean Road, and then you come here, like these are amazing mountains, and a lot of people wrongly assume that it's quite serious hiking. It is serious hiking, but you can get to the top of Mount Abrupt in an hour without. You can do it in tomorrow morning after a nice meal if you want, and that's really it's a really good experience. We'd love more people to come out and do these things and try the different areas. And you've got beautiful places like when you get further into Hall's Gap or North Grampians, it's very different from down here. So you've got to kind of come and experience all the different areas of it. And we don't want people not that we're against people coming just for dinner, but we'd like people to come and stay longer and experience everything there is around here.
Let you get on with preparing it, and we'll see you back here later. I've really enjoyed the meal. I've had all the savoury courses. It's been a journey and a delight. It's such a nice dining room to sit in. Your staff are great. The wine matches have been extraordinary, taken me on some adventures. And the food has been great, to see the garden and then to see what you're doing on the plate. It's really, really cool. Tell us maybe what's happening with this dish here, Robin.
So this is the beef dish with the Hispi cabbage. So all the Hispi cabbages we got coming through, and the green manure sauce, which is our amusing cover crop that we use, that we turn into, it's kind of like a salsa verde, which works really well with the beef. Lots of, we make our own pastrami, which is through the cabbage, and then some of our beef on top. We sort of always try to use the same vegetable in as many different ways, the same meat as many different ways. So you'll see sort of like the same, if it's the duck and rhubarb dish, there's rhubarb in sort of 2 or 3 different ways, or cabbage in 2 or 3 different ways. So we sort of possibly overuse the vegetables, or get as much out of it as possible. That's what we try and do.
Well, I think as a diner, you really think about the vegetable, and it's all the different things that it can be, and all the different types, like with the cauliflower, with the rock flathead, different types of cauliflower and different things done to them. So I suppose it just it complicates, in a really good way, produce.
And we really try, most of the customers have done the garden tour already, or they'll do it tomorrow. So we try and get everyone to do the garden tour, either before they dine or after they dine. And that's kind of, it's all slightly planned. They don't know it's planned, but then when we do the garden tour, we talk about all the produce. So we'll go on about the Hispi cabbage. So when they come and see it, they're like, oh wow, he was going about the Hispi cabbage, and that's what they do with it. So it is, it's very planned. It's also, very cool to sort of get them to see the produce and everything that goes into it, because I think without the garden element, it without even seeing the garden, it loses something from the meal. It's quite, compared to other restaurants I've cooked in, it's slightly more simplified, maybe more mature food. And then when you take the garden into it, it adds that sort of extra element. There's a few little tricks and skills, but not as many as there used to be.
That's interesting that you put it like that, because I mean, I suppose there's a storytelling aspect, there's a narrative, which I think there always has been in your food, but it's maybe I don't know. Would you say it's a bit of a humbler narrative, or it's a bit of you're letting the light shine in lots of different places?
Yeah, humbling. I think it's more grown up. I am a bit older than I was.
Well, here we are all growing up and you grew up a little bit in public, but I think it's amazing. I've always enjoyed your food and loved watching the journey. I think it's really interesting you're here with a very international team. I'm sure for a lot of these, chefs and servers and sommeliers that are working with you, they learn a lot about Australia from your restaurant. Like, what is it like for you to, put Australia on a plate, bring it from the garden, take them on that journey?
I think it's an interesting question, because we're not as kind of like real in-your-face style of Australian cuisine. So it's taking, the things that we can grow, the native plants, mixing that with more overseas ingredients that will grow in our climate, and then turning that into food using, I guess, French techniques and classic techniques, but then also modern techniques, mixing that all together, and you get that real kind of daggy term of modern Australian cuisine, I guess. That's pretty much what it is.
With kangaroos outside. Do you ever serve kangaroo here?
Yes, we do. We took it was a massive mission to be able to serve our kangaroo from out, not that they're our kangaroo, but our kangaroo from outside. So we have shooters on staff, part of the conservation team, and we have to shoot the kangaroo. They tag it and it goes off to the abattoir. So when we do get it back, we can actually get the kangaroo on the bones. We're able to dry age it. That's very different from like supermarket, that kind of like real kind of soft, wet kangaroo that you get. That's pretty amazing.
Right.
Yeah, so we do definitely serve kangaroo.
Message me, I'm coming back when there's roux on the menu. Thanks for letting us ambush you in the kitchen, Robin. Looking forward to dessert.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
Well, I guess it only makes sense that a meal that was so about vegetables also featured them in the desserts. There was a cucumber sorbet, palate cleanser, and then there was a very creative frozen celery parfait that was shaped like a celery stick. It was very fun with guanduja ice cream. Served with Madeira. That was delicious. And then to finish off, a butternut squash mousse with a pumpkin seed brittle fig leaf ice cream. It was really, really cute. And to finish off, jelly baby vegetables. One of them was so sour. I think it was the carrot that, it really woke me up for the walk back to the room. The accommodation at the Royal Mail is really lovely. Waking up to kangaroos outside the window, the sun over Mount Sturgeon. It is a really beautiful setting. Such a jewel of this part of the world. Definitely worth planning ahead for, saving up for, booking in for a special occasion, or making it part of a Grampians itinerary, as I was so fortunate to do this time. This episode is part of a special Dirty Linen series about the Grampians, Wimmera and Mallee regions in Western Victoria. We drove the roads, saw the sights, said hello to the roos and emus, met the people, ate the food, drank the wine, and generally soaked up the delights. Listen to more episodes about the Grampians Wimmera Mallee. We hope you'll plan a trip to the region and maybe listen to stories of this fun, fascinating part of the world as you travel. This series is supported by Visit Victoria.
This is a Deep in the Weeds production.